Hello dear students, Assalamu alaikum. I'm Muhammad Ashraf and you're watching Ashraf Kakar channel. Dear students, we have discussed about the sun in our previous video, and in this video we have started our today's topic from the planets. We'll be knowing about how many planets are there and what are there and how they are distinguished from each other. So there are many planets. Before there were 9 planets, but one was discarded from the list of planets, and it was named as the dwarf planet. It was the Plato. So there's a small and very easy mnemonic in order to memorize the list and sequence of the planets. Like this, you can see over here that my very educated mother just served as noodles. So here M denotes Mercury, V Venus, Earth, and Mother. Mother denotes Mars, then Jupiter, then Saturn, Uranus, and then Neptune. So there are 8 planets, and these are the sequences. The first one comes under the domain of inner planets, and the second line just served as noodles means the Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune, they are the outer planets. So now we will know about the difference between the inner planets and the outer planets. Inner planets can also be called as the rocky or terrestrial planets because they are made up of rocks and metals, and that's why we call them as the terrestrial planets. Okay? अच्छा, इसके बरक्स the outer planets are also called the Jovian or the gaseous planets. Most of the gases in their outer spaces, like for example the hydrogen and helium, these are the outer spaces of the outer planets. The inner planets are more close to sun as compared to the outer planets, which are far from the sun. And they have small masses and radii. The radius are small as compared to the masses and radii of the outer space of the outer planets. They have high densities, and among them the most densest planet is the Earth, and while the outer planets have low densities. In inner planets we have the rotation of planets, which is very slow as compared to the rotation of outer planets, which are very fast. Then the inner planets have the weak magnetic field, while they have the strongest magnetic field. The inner planets have no rings. They have no rings, while the outer planets have rings around them. Then we have the last differences between inner and outer planets. Some planets like Earth, Mercury, and Venus has no moon, while the other 3 planets have moons, 1 or more than 2. Like Earth have only a planet. Then comes the outer planets have many moons. So dear students, first of all we will look into the inner planets, which are Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars, and we will also distinguish between each one of these, that what are the basic differences, their features and their physical characteristics, each one of these. So first of all comes the Mercury. Mercury is the most smallest and fastest planet in our solar system, while Venus is the hottest and brightest planet, and Venus is also called as the sister planet of Earth because it is more close to the Earth. Because after the sunset or before sunrise, it can be seen around the east and west corners of Earth. Earth is the most densest of the solar planet, and it is also called as the colorful planet of the Earth, while Mars is the second smallest. As we have said that Mercury is the smallest planet and Mars is the second smallest, and also called as the red planet, just because of its atmosphere, which has the carbon dioxide in its atmosphere, while Mercury has no atmosphere at all. Venus has the carbon dioxide in its atmosphere, just because of this carbon dioxide, which absorbed maximum light, maximum heat. That's why it is also called as the hottest planet of Earth. While Earth has the major components in its atmosphere, there is nitrogen and oxygen, and Mars has same way it has carbon dioxide. Then comes, it has craters. You can also see, you can also look into the pictures on your screen about the craters as well as the meteoroids and asteroids. So then comes, it has many volcanoes. While on the other hand, Venus has many volcanoes, it has the craters. While Earth is composed of 30% land and 70% of water, while Mars has same way as craters. And these craters are made by the hitting or by the push-ups of meteoroids, asteroid upon its surface. Just because of their hitting, these craters have made. Then comes, Mercury has high density. In the same way, because these all inner planets have the high density minerals, while the Earth, the density of Earth, that is 5.52 gram per cubic centimeter, while Mars has a density of 4 gram per cubic centimeter. Mercury revolve in 88 days. Mercury revolve around the sun in 88 days. That's why we call it as the most fastest planet. While Venus revolve in 225 days, and Earth, you know better that Earth revolve around the sun in 365 days, while Mars revolve in 687 days around the sun. Mercury is 58 million kilometers away from sun, and then 108 million kilometers away from the sun, that is Venus, while Earth is 147, that comes on third number, kilometer away, million kilometer away from sun, while on the other hand Mars is 220 million kilometer away from sun. Then comes its temperature. Its temperature ranges between minus 170 degree, which is very cold, and to 450 degrees Celsius, while the temperature of Venus, that ranges between 460 to 480 degree, which is again the hottest planet of the Earth. Then comes Earth. The average temperature, the minimum and maximum temperature, the minimum temperature of Earth has yet recorded, that is minus 85, while the hottest planet, hottest degree Celsius, that is of 57 degrees Celsius. Mars has the average temperature from 70 to minus 225, which is very cold in its sense. Then comes, 1 day of a Mercury is equal to 176 days of Earth. So that's why it spins in its orbit very slowly. That it takes 176 days to complete one spin, or to complete an orbit, its own orbit. While the 1 day of Venus is equal to 243 days of Earth, while on the other hand, Earth is much better known by all of you that 1 day of Earth is equal to 23 hours, 56 minutes, and 4 seconds. While on the other hand, Mars, the 1 day of a Mars is only 24 hours and 40 minutes, which is almost close to Earth. Then comes the next comparison, that Mercury and Venus, they both have no moon. Mercury and Venus, they have no moon, while the Earth has one moon, and it's called the Luna. That's why we call the lunar calendar. This the Luna is the only moon of Earth, while on the other hand Mars has two moons. One is Phobos and the second is Deimos. Then comes at last the gravity, which is very low, or which is very low, that's why, which is very high, sorry. So it has the gravity of 3.7 meter per second square. That's why due to its high gravity, it not leave any moon or any giant bodies around its orbit. It just pull any body towards itself. That's why these two have no gravity. In a sense, it has the gravity of 8.87 meter per second square, while the Earth gravity is 9.8 meter per second, and the gravity of Mars is much low, that is 3.71 meter per second square. So dear students, now we will look into the outer planets. They are also four in number. The first one is the Jupiter, then Saturn, then Uranus, and at last the eighth one, that is Neptune. The physical features of Jupiter: it is the biggest planet of the solar system as well as the fastest one, while Saturn is the second largest planet of the solar system, and it is also called as the ring planet because its rings are so much visible. The Uranus is the green planet. It's also called as the green planet just because of its atmospheric gases like hydrogen, helium, and methane gas. Neptune is the coldest planet because it is so far from the sun. That's why it is called as the coldest planet, and its revolution is very slow. That's why it is also called as the slowest planet as compared to the Jupiter, which is the fastest one. Then comes it has 67 moons, and its largest moon is the Ganymede, which is also the largest moon of the solar system. And the second one, the Saturn has 62 moons. It has 67, then it has 62 moons, and its largest one is the Titan, and it is also the second largest of the solar system. Then comes the Uranus, which has 27 moons. Its largest moon, it's only largest of the Uranus, not of the solar system. That is called the Titania. Then at last comes Neptune, which has 14 moons, and its largest one is the Triton. Then one day, the comparison of days, it's one day is equal to 9 hours and 55 minutes. That's why we have called it as the fastest moon, because its day is even less than the day of the Earth, because the time or the duration of the Earth, that takes 24 hours, but its revolution in its own orbit just takes 9 hours and 55 minutes. That's why we call it as the fastest planet. Then one day of Saturn becomes 10 hours and 55 minutes. It's also more than the Earth. Then comes the Uranus. Its one day is just 17 days. Then comes Neptune, which has one day is equal to 16 hours. Then comes the revolution of the planet. The Jupiter planet takes 11.86 Earth years. It takes almost 12 Earth years to complete one revolution around the sun. On the other hand, Saturn takes 29 Earth years to complete one revolution. In the same way, Uranus takes 84 Earth years to complete one revolution, while Neptune, which is also called the slowest planet, it takes 165 Earth years to complete just one revolution. The rings of the Jupiter are less visible, while the rings of the Saturn are much more visible. That's why we call it as the ring planet. And the Uranus is called as the green planet just because of its atmospheric gases. Then comes the Neptune, which is called as the blue giant. At last, we will look into the temperatures. The temperature of Jupiter lies to average temperature, that is minus 150 degrees Celsius, while the temperature of Saturn is minus 180. Then more than this, the temperature of Uranus is minus 195 degrees Celsius, while the Neptune, which has the most coldest planet, and it is ranges to minus 353 degrees Celsius. So this was all about the planets. See you in the next lecture.